Let's hear from the other side now. Jim Gallant is a negotiator with the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. Thanks so much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us back.
I'm going to start with the same question I asked Mr. Hamilton. In your opinion, how far apart are the two sides?
Very far apart at this point.
What is the main sticking point then? Why so far apart?
Canada Post has an idea that they're going to part-time the workforce at Canada Post. They use the word gigify to say that they weren't doing it, but they've asked for about 30% of the workforce that exists now to turn into part-time people that would be scheduled for about 4 hours a day and would be required to work up to 30 hours a week. So you're scheduled for 4 hours and forced to work 6 if there's work there, or maybe even 8 hours. I'm not sure how people can take care of their children or their loved ones or plan their second job because they don't have enough hours.
So not, as Mr. Hamilton was saying, so that they can have those flexible hours to work the weekend and possibly other jobs?
They want flexible workers all week long, all week and all weekend.
I want to ask you about the decision to have a nationwide full strike. Why not a rotating strike? When you consider the state of the business of Canada Post and the difficulty that this might incur not only on the brand, but really the business as a whole, are you not worried that it will continue to damage the business that your workers depend on for people to use?
No, we're not going to apologize for taking people out on a picket line. It's a right in Canada, and that was the decision on we were so far apart. What's a rotating strike going to do for us? We needed to show that there was a problem, and the minister has now appointed another mediator, and Mr. Hamilton said that they didn't want mediation. On the opposite, the union does. We want the government. We want those mediators. They're really skilled, the ones that have been there so far. Another one's coming, and we want to make sure that all of those things are overturned to make sure that we can come to a deal.
I can understand the urgency that a strike sends to all sides and really gets the attention of the country. However, according to the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, 79% of small businesses rely on Canada Post. Your members are essentially affecting those people. What do you say to those business owners who are sitting there and saying, why did you have to do a full nationwide strike instead of a rotating strike? Because it is affecting their bottom line right now.
I tell every one of them that we want to be at work. And they should be calling Canada Post, asking why Canada Post is trying to part-time all those jobs, and they already have they're somewhere around between the rural and the urban units. There's somewhere around 10,500 temporary workers now, and so they have 10,500, and they want more part-time. So there's only 55,000 in the bargaining units. So you do the math. It's not a lot of full-time work.
Some Canadians, though, and I know you were asked this question earlier this week when Vassy was sitting here with you, some Canadians will look at your demands and say that is something that everybody wished they could get, but really unrealistic in this type of economy when you consider that it's upwards of a 23% wage increase and even more of those sick days. I think it's 10 additional sick days to the 7 that you already have. Why are those demands, you think, demands that your workers deserve and that you think that Canada Post can't afford?
I'd tell Canadians first, join a union. And the second thing is the 10 days, Mr. Hamilton talked about those 10 days. Those 10 days are under the Canada Labour Code. We already have 7 days in our collective agreement that are for personal days, so you can use them for a lot of different things. They're personal days. It could be a family illness or whatever. But the government and the minister commented earlier, they put in these 10 personal days, or 10 medical days under the code, and there are also 3 personal days under the code. And Canada Post doesn't want any of that in the collective agreement. They won't put what's in the Canada Labour Code into the collective agreement. And we had more to start with, and that's why we need it can't be status quo with the Canada Labour Code. That's not, you don't join a union to have status quo.
Can this be solved without government intervention?
I believe so, but the government has every opportunity to intervene with Canada Post. That's the one thing. I guess in the ports they might not have had that opportunity, but this is a Crown corporation. They need to tell Canada Post to go in there and give us a reasonable wage, and to stop this part-timing of work. The government should be there trying to give Canadians fair jobs with a fair wage. And every one of us as postal workers are in our small communities and big communities spending our money in Canada, spending taxes in Canada, and instead, this is the way Canada Post is treating us.
Okay, unfortunately, we got to leave it there, and I know negotiations will continue through the weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
It's going to be a slow weekend, but we will be at the table with the new conciliator, mediator very soon.
Okay, and I'm sure we will check back in with you over the weekend and possibly on Monday. Jim Gallant, negotiator with the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. Thanks again for being here. Really appreciate it.